Thank you to all of my subscribers and commenters who participate in the channel and help make it a place where we can learn and fellowship. The channel is very important to me. Aside from being a mom and a grandmom, it's the most important thing I've ever done. Many of the videos on this channel cover how the Bloodline elites act out their polytheist history in religion and media. This media is based on characters, belief systems, and locations from their history and prehistory. The actors in their character become that historical person by channeling that demonic spirit. The person they are emulating could be more modern, such as a royal, or someone in the historical past, even going into prehistory, because in their belief system, they're a part of a continuous line of superior people through genealogical history and also education. They provide genealogical connections within different settings and narratives in their media. Classical examples of literature and theater are Greek literature, Greek theater, opera, Roman theater, Shakespearean theater, which is why many of the actors are trained in Shakespeare, fairy tales, Asian theater, paintings, and other art forms. In the modern day, it's transferred to movies, TV series, video games, comics, and even music. Much of this is done in vampire movies, and that's one of the reasons there are so many vampire movies, and also plays and books and paintings, TV shows, comics. Given that context, I'm going to give a couple of examples that I've covered before, but I need to expand on based on this explanation of the reason these elite royals do this in their media. The references are often obscure. In the Donnie Darko movie, the character, Cherita Chin, is the Japanese classmate to Donnie Darko, who appears alongside Donnie at significant scenes in the movie. I didn't understand her role until I read about Japanese No. No is the form of theater art performed by Cherita Chin in the talent show in the movie. This scene occurs simultaneously as Donnie is getting possessed by Frank, the manipulated dead rabbit, and the music is the same in both scenes. The name of her performance is Autumn Angel. So No is a form of classical Japanese dance drama performed since the 14th century, the oldest theater art still regularly performed today. No is based on tales from traditional literature featuring a supernatural being transformed into a human hero who narrates the story but without dialogue. Emotions are conveyed by gestures, and masks are worn, and the masks are of the supernatural beings that are transformed into this human in the performance. And those masks are of ghosts, women, deities, and demons. So these performances are channeling those ancient deities. And we see this trickling down historically all the way up to modern times. In this movie, Donnie Darko, where Cherita Chin is a supernatural being transformed into a human and a type of spirit guide for Donnie during the movie. We know this because of the clue of her performance in the talent show, and she's performing Japanese No. A commenter said the music in those scenes is Pan's Labyrinth Lullaby, which is also a general theme song to the movie. So that's another big clue. So I'm going to play a short clip of Cherita Chin performing that. And the name of the performance again is Autumn Angel, and the music is Pan's Labyrinth.
Shut up!
So after knowing this, I could see that Charita Chen, Cece, comes before Donnie Darko, DD, as a type of spirit guide, appearing at pivotal times during the movie. Now, Interview with the Vampire. A commenter who recommended that I break down this show said this: I don't know if this is a uniquely occult show or if most shows are equally encoded these days, because this is the first show I've watched since I made a brief effort to watch Game of Thrones years ago. That one also seemed thick with bloodliner symbolism. So since the commenter mentioned Game of Thrones, I'm going to really expound on Khal Drogo's character from that show after I review Lestat's character in Interview with the Vampire. Both of these are based on books, by the way. But there is a connection between Lestat and Khal Drogo, and it's the Tuatha De Danann. The Theater of Vampires in the Interview with the Vampire series was established by one of the main vampires, Lestat de Lioncourt. The name Lioncourt is a reference to the ancient city of Lyon, France, which also had a famous Gallo-Roman theater. Lyon, France is capital city of the Gauls, or Celts, whose nobility had a polytheist religion, pagan, fallen angel worship. And that's why you see Lestat with reddish blonde hair. It's a reference to the Celts. The city was originally named Lugdun, for the Celtic god Lu, meaning light. And Lu was a member of the Tuatha De Danann, which Lestat is channeling. The vampires are referred to as gods in the TV series. Specifically, Lestat makes the reference between himself as light. For the prehistory reference, Lestat Lioncourt also refers to himself as Akasha, which is a Sanskrit word for ether, a term that has pre-flood origins. Akasha is the spirit that fills outer darkness and contains celestial bodies or fallen angels. And so then the channeling goes on down from Akasha, or prehistory, to the Celts, and then to the Roman theater, which was also in Lyon, France, and right down to the modern day theater, which we see performed in the TV series. And even in the TV series, they're doing theater. I hope you see that. So, Khal Drogo, Game of Thrones. Khal Drogo's enormous, giant character in the Game of Thrones is a Scythian. He's a Scythian. This article talks about the British Museum's exhibit of the Game of Thrones, and this article confirms that he is fashioned after the Scythians, Khal Drogo. They seem to be very proud of their exhibit, but the Bible refers to Scythians as a savage and cruel people, barbarians. The Old Testament refers to Scythians as Ashkenaz, and potentially as the foes from the north in Jeremiah and Habakkuk. Notice the Scyths as weapons in this photo. Ancient Scyths also grew hemp, or Scythians grew hemp and harvested it with a hand reaper that would be considered a Scyth. The Scyth character, the Grim Reaper, was also a theater trope in Interview with the Vampire and a theater trope at King Charles' coronation ceremony. The Grim Reaper. Remember that? The Grim Reaper is known for carrying a scythe, reaping tares. So Drogo means dragon. And he's married to the mother of dragons, Daenerys Targaryen, or Dany, who's a fair-haired, almost white hair, like a fairy. Her name seems like a reference to the tribe of Dan, the Tuatha De Danann, and even Tartarian, with her last name as Targaryen. The pagans who follow Satan and his fallen angels create a narrative to counter the Bible. Most of these narratives center around the theme of dragons as the patriarchal line, representing Satan, and fairies, representing the matriarchal line. Let's look at ancient Scythian tribes, because some propose they descend from the Anunnaki, which would be a reason Khal Drogo's tribe was named Dothraki, a reference to Anunnaki. Here's a depiction of Anunnaki. You have Inanna, Enki, and Utu. And I think that little animal down there is a one-horned bull. Royal Scythians were recorded as the lords of Anu, the sky god of the ancient Mesopotamian religion of Sumer, Assyria, and Babylon beginning in 6000 BC. Legends record giants such as Iapetus, Scyths, Albion, Gog, and Magog as being Scythian both before and after the flood. Emperor Justinian II of Constantinople noted the Scythian ring lords were the most ancient of all the tribes in the world, even older than the Egyptians. Their descendants were listed in the Table of Nations as the Horite kings that ruled Seir before any of the Israelites. According to Gary Wayne's research, the original Scythians existed pre-flood and were the original lords of Edom, surviving Anunnaki or Nephilim who escaped from Tartarus, giving rise to their descendants of one, the Amalekites. And remember, Amalek in Hebrew means to drink blood. Scythian tribes were noted as drinking blood mixed with drugs, noted even by mainstream historians. The surviving Nephilim race of giants later developed into the royal house of the Scyths, the Tuatha De Danann, and the fairies. These Indo-Europeans were a surviving Aryan race from the antediluvian epoch. Tablets found beneath the Scythian village of Tartaria in Transylvania are dated anywhere from 5500 BC to 2700 BC, and that predates the flood, and it predates Sumerian tablets by 1,000 years. Those Tartarian tablets are shown in this slide here, along with Scythian artwork, which is the gold in the upper left, the flag of Tartary in the upper right, and that's a definite reference to Tartarus and the Tartarian Empire, and also the flag of Wales on the bottom. And it's the same creature in all of these depictions, a griffin dragon. The flag of Wales is that dragon that matches the flag of Tartary in the Scythian artwork, the same one who flanks all around the city of London. Now it makes sense why heraldic animals on royal heraldry are based on Scythian artwork of animal predation. It's a fact. It's a well-known fact. That's because they're basing it on their ancestry. I found this article as another source who references Lawrence Gardner's book regarding the Scythians. I will summarize this article and also link it in the description. It's called Tuatha De Anunnaki. It says the Tuatha De Danann are the basis for J.R.R. Tolkien's tall, elegant, bright, shining elven people. Tolkien had his finger on the pulse of a shadowy history and was more than obviously hailing to those historical roots. The article quotes from Sir Lawrence Gardner's book Realm of the Ringlords. The ancient people of the Tuatha De Danann were a supernatural tribe. Their true name in its older form was Tuatha-Denu, the tribe of Anu. The article goes on to outline the Canaanite territory of northern Israel inhabited by the tribe of Dan, where they migrated north and started worshiping Baal or Pan. Remember, in Donnie Darko, that autumn angel is performing to Pan's labyrinth. He points out that this is the location of Mount Hermon, where the Nephilim came down and mated with human women. He points out that this tribe intermingled with the Canaanite Tuatha De Danann, also known as the Lords of Anu, just as the Scythians were known as the Lords of Anu. said to be the offspring of ancient Sumerian Anunnaki. The origins of the Tuatha De Danann, or Dragon Lords of Anu, before settling in Ireland, is that they were descendants of the Black Sea princes of Scythia, and from them sprang the kingly lines of the ancient Britons, Irish Picts, Merovingians or Franks, as Gary also writes in his book, which I've covered before. Quoting from Gardner again from the article, it says, "So from a cast of the original Blood Royal, Sangreal, Albigens, Ringlords, we discover many of the descriptive terms in folklore. In this one race we have the elves, fairies, and pixies, distinguished kings and queens of the dragon succession. In historical research they are defined and deified as human kings of ancient Sumerians whose descendants migrated north to the Black Sea region and south to Palestine, merging cultures and languages with other tribes." And that's the end of the article. So the original ancient Scythians likely migrated out of the Black Sea region and returned in part back to Scythia sometime before 1750 BC. Their ringlord culture of earthly kingship continued after the flood from that Black Sea region, and specifically from Tartaria and Transylvania to Samaria, Seir, Ireland, and then to the balance of the Middle East. Here's their much later recorded migratory pattern, which is accepted by mainstream history. So this date says 680 BC to 600 BC. Recorded as through the Caucasus up into Europe and Western Asia, and the Caucasus are known as Scythian country. The ancient village of Gamsutul resides in the Caucasus, or Gog Kashan Mountains, which means Gog's Fort. They're not saying how old this place is. It says anywhere from 2,000 to 5,000 years old. Here's what Natasha said about Gamsutul after watching a video I sent her. She said, "It feels like dragon and giant land. Large creatures could be hidden in the territory with some of the deepest waters and caverns in the tallest mountains. It's still so ancient, like it's frozen in time. I've heard strange sea monster stories about the Caspian Sea more than any other body of water. We know that Satan has a subterranean kingdom, so is this the headquarters for him and the fallen? The lookout towers are strategically placed way up at the top of the mountains with many sacrificial-looking altars. A protected species of giant vultures live in the cliffs, which really gives off a Jurassic Park kind of vibe. Hundreds of miles of land are off limits to humans according to that video." So fast forward then from those ancient times and the time of the Scythians to the Babylonian Empire. Not ancient Babylon, but the Babylonian Empire. So in Revelation 13:2, the first beast is described as resembling a leopard, but with the feet of a bear and the mouth of a lion. So that mouth is roaring, symbolizing a future powerful and deceptive force that will rise against God. The composite beast is seen as a power given to it by the dragon or Satan. The lion, leopard, and bear are also featured in Daniel 7, representing Babylon, Medo-Persia, and the Greek empires, respectively. We're all familiar with this giant statue from Nebuchadnezzar's dream, interpreted by Daniel in Daniel 2, with Babylon as the head of gold, Medo-Persia as the breast and arms of silver, the Grecian Empire with the belly and thighs of brass, and the legs of iron, representing the Roman Empire. So I made some of these slides just showing how that beast empire progressed. Babylon from 631 to 538 BC, progressing even more and expanding with the Medo-Persian Empire from 538 to 331 BC, the Grecian Empire from 331 to 160 BC, and see, the beast empire is just expanding out and out and out. From when that Tower of Babel was destroyed, they spread out. And the Roman Empire from 160 BC to 395 AD. This just shows them all together, but since they're not to scale with one another. It's kind of hard to see how they all spread, but I did this little map here showing that the bright yellow is Babylon, gray is Medo-Persia, some of them overlap, and then with Greece, it goes here into Greece and Romania, down here below towards India, and then with Rome, of course, it expands even more with all this red. But the Neo-Babylonian world system is the British Empire. 56 countries, including Canada, India, Australia, New Zealand, and the US, which we know is part of the British Empire. I covered that a lot on my channel. And this is far more territory and people than all the other beast empires. So these beast empires just go right down to the modern day. As I've shown in prior videos, the animals on British heraldry are the exact same ones on the Ishtar Gate in Babylon: the lion, dragon, and single horned bull. So, all of this explains why in the media they channel the spirit of the Scythian and the Tuatha De Danann in both the Interview with the Vampire and the Game of Thrones, because it's their ancestors. And it explains why this flag of Wales is this dragon, the same dragon from Tartaria and Scythian animal predation, this dragon here. Who flanks the city of London, the same one on Charles's heraldry, and it's the same creature on the flag of Tartary and the same one on Scythian artwork. So, King Charles claims to be related to Vlad of Wallachia, Vlad Dracula, who is a Scythian, descended from the Amalekite blood lickers. Tuatha De Danann shining ones like Edward Cullen, the vampire from Twilight, and Lestat de Lion-Court. This would explain why the British Museum proudly has the Game of Thrones Dothraki exhibit of Khal Drogo, dragon, a reference to their Scythian ancestors. Remember I said that legends record giants such as Iapetus, Siths, Albion, Gog, and Magog as being Scythian both before and after the flood. All of those are referenced by the current British royals. Albion was the original name for Britain. And these Scythian ancestors must be why European heraldry is based on Scythian animal predation from the artwork of their ancestors, the Scythians, including that griffin dragon. And the animals on the British heraldry are the exact same ones on the Ishtar Gate in Babylon: the lion, dragon, and single-horned bull, or unicorn. And why King Charles had the Grim Reaper, known for his Sith, present at his coronation. And that spirit of Gog, Magog, and the royal Scythians, or the giants. Gog and Magog are legendary giants from medieval British folklore also. Their story is intertwined with the early history of Britain, linked to the reign of mythical kings. For centuries they have led the procession and are two imposing wicker giants, Gog and Magog. These legendary features have served as the traditional guardians of the City of London since the reign of Prince Henry or King Henry V. Thanks for listening.